Hi. I'm not really sure how this video is gonna go because I'm just like overwhelmed with emotions. So it could go sad where I end up crying, or it could go anger where I end up with rage. But this is like a continuation from the conversation I kind of just had with my boss earlier. I'm very close with her, and I've been in this rocky place for a while now. If you've been following my videos, and I just was expressing myself to her, and I feel like I can or need to continue to do that here with you guys. The topic that comes up that's angering for me, that is the root of my anxiety, is basically how I talk to myself. And I may have mentioned this before in a past video of how critical I am. If that's, nothing new. I'm just very critical of myself. And I'm very mean in general. And this isn't like, yes, I have low self-esteem, so to speak, in some cases, because I was able to eventually grow in confidence over the years. I'm not as shy as I used to be, like in high school or whatever. I'm not afraid to start a conversation with people. And the reason being, honestly, is because who I am now, for the most part, is who I truly am. So when I meet someone new, I'm able to present them with who I am, or who I feel is me truly, from the beginning. So I'm not afraid of that, and I don't think they're going to judge that person. And if they do, they do. But there's a part of me that, if you knew me growing up as a young child, that part of me, those people are the ones that I'm most afraid of, which is, really family, so to speak. Because growing up, I, as a kid, showed my true self. Obviously, I had no idea of being a fake self, so I showed my true self to everybody, and it just wasn't well received. So I don't know, I feel like I read it somewhere or heard it somewhere that usually the first bullies that we have in our lives as kids is usually somebody in our family. And that was the case for me. I felt like there were a couple of them. I'm not here to name names, I'm not here to blame anybody, but that's basically what happened. Is my family criticized or mocked or busted on me as a child, and that's just stuck. It's stuck to such a point that I don't know how to speak nicely to myself. I know I have no idea how to. Because as a kid, it was just a constant thing. And my family, of course, if you address this kind of situation, one or two things can happen. There's the defensiveness, because they don't want to look like they did anything wrong, or they didn't mean it that way. Of course, I was just joking, you shouldn't have taken it so seriously. All those thoughts, or words come out of their mouth so that they don't take on the blame. And I'm not saying all this to blame my family for doing what they did. I'm not here looking for an apology. I'm not. I'm simply hoping that somebody hears this video and thinks twice about the way they speak to their child. That they actually take the time to consider how this can affect them as they're growing up. Because I feel like that wasn't considered. And granted, I did my fair share of doing the same thing they did and criticizing and mocking and bullying and whatever, because I was following the crowd, being one of the younger ones. So of course I did the same thing because I thought that that's what we were supposed to do. Oh, okay, so this is how we show love, right? We show love by mocking each other and joking and, pushing each other's buttons and making that person feel less, than me. That's how we show love. That's how I took it as a child. That's how I took it, that this is how we show love. So I joined in. But little did I realize the impact that it had on myself, to where I'm 31 years old and I can't say one nice thing about myself. I can't. Logically, I know that the things that I do say about myself aren't true. I can easily say that, but I can't believe it, because I spent the last 20-something years believing and being reinforced by other people in my life that I spend the most time with, that this is how I should view myself. So that's what I'm stuck with currently. I'm stuck with trying to find a way to be kinder to myself. But not just be kinder to myself, because like I said, I can easily sit here and say that those things aren't true, but I really just don't believe it. So I have to find a way to uproot all the criticism, the mocking, the busting on each other that I received as a kid. And as I was talking with my coworker, she said that, just stay away from that type of energy. And to this day, I kind of do. I mean, I go to family events, and holidays and so forth, and I spend time with my family. But if anybody actually pays attention, I try and stay away from everybody else. I try and stay away from any main conversations that are going on, or any group settings. I try and stay in the distance, far away, so that I don't put myself in a position where I become a target. Because to this day, we're still doing this. But now we're all adults, and we still think it's funny and laughable, and like it's a great joke to have, and oh, it's just a joke, we actually don't mean it. Really? Do you really not mean it? Because that feels false. If you didn't mean it, why would you say it? Like they say, there's always a little bit of truth in every joke that you say. There's always truth. Somewhere deep down inside you, you do believe that. And whether it's a joke or not, it still can be hurtful to someone. So for me, although I may not avoid the events altogether, or the holidays altogether, I put myself in a position where I can avoid being a target, because my self-esteem has been shot to hell for so many years that I honestly can't afford anymore. And I can't sit and wait for other people to change. And I'm not here to confront anybody. I'm really not. And I'm not going to stand there, and I'm not going to attempt to confront anybody about it. I don't want that. I'm not looking for an apology. Right now, my self-esteem is now my responsibility. It was shot down as a kid, and now I've spent the last few years trying to bring it back up. It's my responsibility, and I'm okay with that, because nothing that anybody can say is really going to change this. No sense of apology, no sense of change in personality is going to change how I view myself. It's already conditioned. It's already cemented in me, So that's not going to change by an apology. I'm not trying to put anybody on blast. I'm not trying to put my family on blast. All I'm simply saying is I hope that anybody that's watching this will think twice about the things they say to each other. Not even just little kids, but to each other. Like, don't we owe each other that respect? We're family, for goodness sakes. Family. How are we the ones that bully each other the most? If you get bullied from a peer at school, that's nothing. But you're getting bullied from somebody that's supposed to be by your side, that you're supposed to trust and love, that you're supposed to have that kind of support with each other. That's the person that you're getting bullied by. And then as a kid, you get dragged to all these holiday events, so you're just forced to be in an environment with people that you don't completely trust, that you feel don't actually like you or love you, and you're being pushed into that. And again, I'm not trying to blame anybody. I'm just saying, think twice, because I'm not saying that you have to stay family because you're family, but shouldn't your family be your first line of defense? Shouldn't they be on your side, not the opposite? I mean, that's how I figured life was supposed to work. But I feel like more than not, it's the opposite. That we fight more with our own family than we do our friends. We find friends that have our back more than we have family members that have our back. I trust people more outside of my family than I trust people within my family, because they don't know who I am. If family is watching this video, this is probably the most they've actually gotten to know me, because they don't know this. Because I'm afraid to express and be this way with them. Because I'm afraid of being a target once again, like I was when I was a kid, of being criticized. And that's why it was so hard for me to make this to begin with. Because of that fear that, God forbid, one of my family members saw this video and they had, one negative thing to say. It's just going to go right back to when I was like 7 years old, and they said that one negative thing back then. That it was a joke. It was a joke. They didn't mean it, but it hurt. I'm 7. How can you say that? How can you be that way? Like it and I know that, if we're all young, kids will be kids, but kids take after their parents. Kids lead or follow the steps of their parents. So at some point, that kid learned to talk to other people that way because of how their parents spoke. And I know I might get a lot of shit, and excuse me for cursing, for putting this out there like this, but I've had conversations with certain family members about how I feel about certain family members, or our family dynamic and the way we quote unquote show love to each other before. So there are people that are aware of how I feel, and this is hard for me because, again, there's the fear that they're gonna feel like I'm attacking them, and I'm not. So if you feel like you're being attacked right now because you're a part of my family, then maybe you did do something. But I'm not looking for an apology. And I'm not looking to attack you. All I'm saying is, this is how I grew up. This is what I'm currently experiencing. And this is what I need and is now my responsibility on fixing. Which is fine. Because the way I see it, everything was meant to happen. It was sucky. And this part of the process is super sucky because it's like hard to get through. But honestly, if I didn't go through it and we were all peachy keen and super sweet and nice to each other, then maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't have been as empathetic to other people as I am. I wouldn't have been as non-judgmental to other people as I am. Because I got hit with all the hits that I got hit with. It's a lot of hits in that sentence. But it's made me into the person that I am today. I just have to get the gook of that past, of that anger, of that frustration out of me. And I have to, stop believing it, and I have to stop criticizing myself, because the critic in me isn't self-created, but it was something that was built on as the years been on in my life. And it's great to realize that for myself. It's just hard to unravel and harder to alleviate. So that's where I stand. And my message is simply, be nice. I don't know, don't criticize. Even if you're joking, that's the whole thing. Is everyone thinks that sarcasm is fun, and there are moments where you can be sarcastic without hurting somebody. There are moments where you can be sarcastic and not hurt someone's feelings. I've seen it. That you can joke around and nobody gets hurt. But there are times where the sarcasm is truly hurtful, because you don't know what that person is dealing with. You don't know how deep that wound goes. I still, to this day, even though I try and push myself to the side so I don't become a target, the moment that I step in the way where I'm a part of a circle within the family, during an event or something, I'm basically putting myself out there, and I cringe inside. I'm telling you, holidays and certain family events actually give me anxiety and stress a little bit, because I'm always thinking about, how can I hide? How can I be a part of it enough that I enjoy it and I can just people watch while also hiding, so I don't become a target for somebody's criticism or mocking or, busting or sarcasm or whatever. That's the thought. Those are the thoughts that go through my mind, is how can I hide enough that I still am a part of the party, but I don't become a target, because it hurts. There's this sensation within. It's like a sort of anxiety, but not to the extreme. But it's a part of anxiety that happens before every family thing, because it's like my childhood self, my inner child, as people call it, is terrified that there's a potential for me to become a target and me to get criticized for something or mocked for something. And all I was doing was sitting there. Or maybe I did start a conversation, I said something wrong, and boom, there it goes. There's their opportunity to criticize. So when it comes to family things, there's always a pause. And it's funny, because I do notice certain people that, were also affected the same way that I was within the family. They may not be vocal about it. They may just, alleviate themselves from the situation and just choose not to participate and come up with whatever excuse they choose to come up with, because simply saying, no, I don't want to go, is also met with sarcasm, like, oh really? Why don't you want to go? Stop being lazy. What else are you doing? Where are you going? Who are you with? And it's no, just no. I don't have the energy to be in your presence right now. And that should be an acceptable answer. And this goes for anything. I'm not just talking about family things. I'm talking about anything. And that isn't an easy thing for me to say either. Because I felt, and often it happens within my family, you feel this guilt that we're all supposed to want to be around each other. And if I'm completely honest, there's about, 1% of people within the family that I actually would want to be around. Not even, even less. Maybe 3 or 4 people that I would actually want to be around. And then that may cause a problem later on in life, because if I actually own up to the fact that I don't want to be around certain people because of the way they make me feel, explicitly or implicitly, something like that, then I might not, be seen a lot in family things or participate a lot in family things. And I may just do my own thing with my own community. It comes down to that sometimes. And that's also okay. Because if I find a place where I'm actually nicer to myself and the criticism goes away, or I just really just get all that gunk of the old criticism that's stuck within me, the old beliefs that I have of myself, and I'm able to get rid of it, however I get rid of it, then I may not want to show my true self to those people within my family dynamic. Because I may not feel that they deserve that person because they had their chance, right? And again, we were all young, so we've all grown, we've all changed, and a lot of people probably feel the same way I'm feeling, but again, won't vocalize it. They just feel like they should be a part of the family group. And then I feel like when we get into the family group, they put on that part, and that's not even who they really are. I feel like some of them just play a part of who they were as a kid, or, who they think our family or certain people in the family expect them to be. And they just play that part when they're around everybody, and it isn't truly who they are. I feel like there's a lot of fakeness unintentionally going on. Like, I wouldn't really consider myself having close relationships with majority or any of my cousins. I don't have really any close relationships with. Kind of, sort of, but not really, unless they were one-on-one conversations. Like, I feel like many of them don't know who I truly am, and I feel like I don't really know who they truly are, some of them. So there's that. And because of that, we just kind of put on this fakeness at parties or family events, and it's like, who are we all? Is that who you really are? Is that how you really feel? Or are you just doing that because of the environment you're in right now? You're just being that way because, this is how you've always showed up since you were young with everybody. I mean, it would be crazy to see a whole different dynamic, but a lot of my family, I feel, think that I'm quiet or shy simply because I don't, participate a lot in conversation, but I'm not. As you can see, I've been rambling on for like 23 minutes now, and I'm not that quiet, but I'm quiet in those situations because of my fear of being criticized. Because I still have like this childlike self within me that's like terrified of being a target. So I stay to myself because that's safe. Or I just don't go at all. That's also one of my other options, is just not showing up at all. But for the most part, I enjoy watching and being out and about. Little flies. But I don't want to be in a group conversation unless it has a different sort of topic or a certain topic. And I mean, one-on-one maybe here or there, but I feel like nobody really knows who I am. And I feel like I don't know a lot of my own family, yet we spend every holiday together. Figure that. But that's how I feel. Maybe this is, just my perception. And maybe my family feels completely different. But my perception is nobody knows who I really am. And I don't want to show who I really am because I don't believe it'll be well received because of my past experience. So why even risk it, right? And I don't know who they really are, or I feel that who they're showing is not who they truly are, and that they're completely different people. And I know that we're all different people. There's somebody, like, we're a different person when we're around our family, around our partner, around our co-workers. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that sort of difference. I'm talking about just like who you truly are. not the facade, not the jokester, not the one that, you know, is always criticizing or being sarcastic. My gosh, there's a lot of these little bugs, jeez. So if I'm able to get all of that out, and life doesn't want me to be in communication or to attend certain events, and, you know, maybe I find a different community, then so be it. So be it. I just hope, I mean, I'm not a parent yet, and I don't know if I will be. I can't say if I will. I mean, I hope to one day, but I just hope that you think twice about the way that you talk to young kids and who you bring your young kids around. Because it may not just be you as a parent that's affecting them, but it could be their aunts, their uncles, their older cousins, I don't know who else is in the family, their grandparents. It could be a number of people that are influencing them, and you don't realize it as a mom, as the dad. And it's lowering and lowering their self-esteem every time they're around them. You know, maybe you use grandma or grandpa to babysit your kid as a young kid, and every time they go there, they're just, you know, being mentally, verbally bullied. You don't know that because maybe they're not vocalizing it. And then when they grow up, they're hit with all of this pain inside because they don't feel like they can be who they truly are. Or they have to fix who they truly are. So pay attention. Watch out. It's an older man coming here. I feel like he's watching me. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right.
I know I've prolonged this video, but I just wanted to throw out that message and speak about my experience, because it'll fall on you as the parent maybe to fix it, or to be a support as your child fixes it when they get older, or if they're still young and there becomes awareness at a young age. It'll fall on that. And I just hope, and again, I know life isn't perfect, and I know that, you know, without challenges we wouldn't be able to see joy. I get all that. And again, I'm not faulting anybody or blaming anybody, saying anybody is right or wrong in this situation. I'm just speaking of my experience, and I feel that if I get it out and I'm able to be aware enough about it, that I can see that my self-criticism isn't self-created. And because it's not self-created, I can let it go, or I can change it into self-created love, hopefully. I don't know, we'll see. See you guys.